Welcome back to the Ruby Tuesday. My name's Ruben and this is my review for Gunthers Millions, a Netflix original documentary series about a dog that inherits $150 million. Is this worth your while, or is this going to be another one of those documentaries that stretch out its episodes and the story when they could have done it in an hour rather than the many episodes that they do for documentary series, which has been the formula that they've been using. There's been one or two that have been okay, but there's been a lot that they could have shortened. Is that the case? Let's jump in and find out. A dog with a trust fund isn't the strangest part of this story. Gunther's eccentric handler also lived a life of luxury with a cult-like entourage. So in this review, you're going to see clips with me feeding bits of carrot to my dog because I love my dog and I thought it makes sense having my dog in this. Any excuse to get my dog in the video. His name is Stormy. He's an 8-year-old, I guess, working type lab, if you want to know. That's why he's more slender than normal type of Labradors. I've had dogs growing up all my life. My dad was a guide dogs trainer for the blind. He used to train dogs in the army. My wife's mother breeds dogs. So I've been surrounded by dogs. So anytime there's anything to do with dogs, when there's a story about the world's richest dog, I'm gonna be like, yes, I'm into that. I wanna find out more about that. Sadly, there's very little to do about the dog. There is about his origins, kind of like how he came to be that, but you don't see that much apart from the Gunther himself, Gunther, because he's German, sitting around these people. The story, however, is still very interesting. It's weird, it's as crazy as you'd expect it to be, and then it goes places that you don't expect it to be. I do have mixed feelings about this documentary series, which is 4 episodes ranging from about 15 minutes to 40 minutes. I feel like they could have shaved off 1 episode. It could have been 3. Although there is a lot of information that they tackle. It's a lot not to do with Gunther, more to do with the millions, more to do with his inheritance, where that came from, what part of the story is true. So if you're Italian, I imagine you've heard this story before, but for everybody else, probably haven't. So I'm not going to do any spoilers, because normally you can talk about documentary series or movies and you can do some spoilers because it doesn't reveal much if that story is based on fact. A lot of people know about that anyway. But here, I think a lot of people don't know about this. So let me know in the comments if you've heard about this and what part, when you've watched the documentary, do you think was embellished or is just not true. For me, I don't think they actually went deep enough. When they started getting to some of the uncomfortable questions in this series, they kind of shied away from. They would ask the question, the person that they're interviewing shifts awkwardly in their chair because they have multiple interview segments, multiple cutaways, and then dog friendly stuff, exorbitant sets with the dog, like where the dog is on the boat, where the dog is in his mansion. What mansion is the dog buying next, or what ridiculous boat does the dog buy next? And even that sentence alone, the dog buying, somehow these people have gotten around being in control, one particular person, of all this money, and speaks for what the dog wants. Now mostly all dogs want is to be fed, pooped, walked and loved. Those are the 4 criterias of them. They get joy out of being with you, out of being loved and cared for. That's all they want. They do not want giant boats. They do not want giant mansions. They they maybe want some space to run, so maybe a house, but with land to go wild in and some toys. Your dog will be super happy. This, though, somehow I don't know how these people aren't in jail, honestly, because when the story comes to light as how the money came to be what it is, how Gunther got his money, and all those people involved in controlling his money, one in particular, I just thought, wow, this is dark, but they kind of, again, steer away from some of the answers and the questions I still want to know about. There was a bit where a character was revealed where there's sort of cult-like, sex-like, orgy-type lifestyle that this character Maurizio gets involved with, because he seems to be a little bit bipolar. So when he's up, he's really up. When he's down, and he's down more often than not, he's questioning life. He's talking about suicide. And really, the focus and the drive, instead of being on Gunther, I guess the wider arc story is about what is happiness. I think it was good that they kind of drove the story that way, because otherwise they probably wouldn't really had a theme to combine into what is this all about actually. So we're taking this Gunther who has millions, this dog, and the people that are involved are trying to get every bit of money and go along for the ride. But then what is it actually about? And what it showcases is the balance of all this wealth doesn't bring you happiness and joy at the end of the day. How can somebody that has millions and millions and millions still be so upset? And it shines a light on that. Like the money doesn't bring happiness. Money helps. And it does show how he's able to do so many of these things and organizations and ideas. And most people have all these ideas like, I'd love to start that business, but I don't have the capital. When you do, and you're able to bring things to light that way. And so some people in this series was calling Maurizio a genius, and others, I guess, outside of that conversation would maybe frown a little bit at the genius bit. But the people I think interviewed are very interesting. Well, their story is interesting, so I like the way it's edited and put together. The pacing seems fairly fast, not as slow as some other documentaries from Netflix like this have been, and it does leave it every episode on an end of a sort of question, like a hook for you to watch the next episode, which is fine. But I do think they go over some bits a bit longer, and they should have more asked those questions that I wanted to know about, go into the darker bits. When they were going there, they seemed to shy away from that. But it is more focus on what is happiness, and then it's a focus on what is the real story behind Gunther's millions and this Maurizio character. I thought it was a very interesting watch, definitely worth a one-time watch. A little bit embellished, a little bit long. For the 4 episodes, it's fine, but I thought the story was like riveting in parts, but somewhat frustrating in others. I think I as I mentioned earlier, I still don't know how some of these people have managed to avoid jail time, because it does seem really dodgy between the cult-like people and the money usage when they come out and explain their story. And it's like, okay, you've been lying all this time, surely you've crossed over some boundaries and bars there. But when you have the money talks and money pays for things, and I'm sure that has sorted out a lot of the issues that they had. Going back to one character that is in this series, comes off like a serial killer and a sex addict or fiend. And every time he was on screen, you'll know it. Like, I don't want to spoil it for you. You'll know that character as soon as you see him on screen. You kind of want to fast forward it because you don't want to see his face on the screen, but also giving you the heebie-jeebies. If ever there was a person on screen that you look at and the words that are coming out of his mouth, it's not someone that you would ever place near your daughter. Like, you would place your daughter on the other side of the planet than anywhere near this dude. Let me know in the comments if you know exactly who I'm talking about when you watch this. I was freaked out by this dude. I was like, there is something wrong with that man. Yeah, so that left me a little bit going, yeah, I wonder what's happened to that guy. If you did some actual research, if there was a police detective agency that actually did some research into that person and what he got up to since and around it, I wonder what will come to light. Anyway, let me know your thoughts and feelings down below. I'm going to give this 3.5 Nicolas Cages out of 5.
And you got one. Congratulations.
Worth a one-time watch, not as good as I was hoping it would be, because once they started getting into those deep questions, they kind of ran away from it and then kind of focused on what is happiness and using the Maurizio character as shining a light on, you know, what brings happiness. Interesting story about Gunther's millions. Thanks so much for watching, but most of all, until next time, remember, live long and Tuesday.